I am Xander Cage. What's going on there, YouTube? This is SEL0320 representing JVS. So I'm back here again for another review for a movie. Got an advanced screening to see the brand new Vin Diesel's Return of Xander Cage, XXX. So I think XXX 1 came out, was it 2001? Or was it? I don't even remember, man. I know that 2005, the second one with Ice Cube came out. Good news. I didn't really like that one at all, and I didn't. I thought that the first one was a guilty pleasure. I thought that the stunt work and action, it reminded me of those older '90s action films that I really enjoy. So, in terms of the story arc and stuff like that, that wasn't the meat of it. Matter of fact, a lot of the parts with the original where they were like in the Russian club and they were having the love story and this back and forth kind of conversation, it got really, really cheesy to the point that it felt like a setup for something that's about to be prolonged. To be quite honest with you, this new one, dare I say, is better than the original because it actually understands the balance. It doesn't take itself too seriously and actually it's a little bit more enjoyable than the original one. And the thing about this one, in terms of the set pieces, in terms of the cinematography, in terms of even the stunt work, they do an amazing job. Like, I think that the camera angles and some of the ones they had in the very beginning of the film, it was amazing. Like, especially with Vin Diesel, like skateboarding or snowboarding or any of the chase sequences, any of the fight sequences, any of the gun sequences, they were filmed well and they were shot well. And at the same exact time, with the new additions into this, with Donnie and with Tony Jaa, with Ruby Rose, with some other notable names that I'm not gonna spoil. In addition to that, like the girl from Vampire Diaries, Nina Dobrev, was even in this one. They did a really good job showcasing the new characters without making them feel like, I don't know, just characters just thrown in, you know what I'm saying? Ruby Rose, I think, was probably the standout. Not that her character takes herself too seriously, but when she's in her scenes, like, she is a whole nother beast. And I was like, all right, I understand why they picked her. But Donnie Yen in this one, oh my gosh, you guys, like, they actually do him as a martial artist and an actual decent actor justice in this one in terms of the amount of scenes they actually give him to actually go and do fights with him kind of being more of the villain side. This is very different. But even Vin Diesel, man, Diesel got in some shape, you guys, and actually he is back. Xander Cage is back. I think the thing about it in terms of the story, that's the part where I have to grade the movie as a critic lower because the story is so convoluted. It goes really nowhere. It actually kind of goes full circle, then goes nowhere. But the thing about this movie is I went into it knowing that it was not going to be a Oscar bait movie or anything like magnificent. I just looked for something that was going to be a thrill ride to turn my brain off to actually go and enjoy myself. The story, it kind of picks off at a random time because they never really truly identify what happened to Xander Cage. I thought that was one of the things that they really lacked the story. At the least, I felt they were going to go there, but they really didn't. Samuel Jackson is in this movie. He has a different dynamic in this one. It's a little bit different. They do have another person that kind of is working on the side with Samuel Jackson and the female. I forgot her name. But in terms of the story, it really wasn't, it didn't go anywhere. Like, it was just kind of like this, like, all right, these guys are going to try to take this. They're going to try to stop him. Get the same group, like Suicide Squad kind of situation. And it doesn't really go anywhere, but as I said, they try not to take themselves too serious. So when those fights go on, when those situations go on, it is shot well. It is, very entertaining. It is very unbelievably over the top. So if y'all thought about like the Fast and Furious films, right? Like the seventh one or the sixth one, and y'all just like, what is going on? There are things in here that even further than that. And I saw this movie in IMAX 3D. I don't know, like. I went into the movie, I was like, man, this doesn't need to be a 3D film. And it didn't. But I'll say that they actually did some decent effects with the 3D render. So, like, when there was an explosion, you see the seared marks throughout the screen. When there was, like, water sequence, you see it splash at you. So it's decent 3D, especially for the IMAX experience. It's fun. It's very visually immersive, very fun movie. But even though this is better than the first one and the second one, As a critic, I would only be able to rate this at a 6.5, at the most a 7 out of 10. I'm probably keeping it at a 6.5. That's not to say that this movie is, you know, something you don't need to go see. I think that you definitely should go to the movie knowing this is a fun ride that is definitely better than the original, which I was surprised by. And you're going to have a good time with the movie. But this is not, you know, as a critic, I'm telling you, this is not a great film. It's not necessarily a good film, but it's a great time at the movie theaters, and it's a good action film. I'll say that. That's the best way I can kind of explain it. It reminds me kind of those 80s, 90s kind of action that just makes no sense, but it's very fun when you actually see it. And the flair about this one, I actually thought that Nina Dobrev was a good comic relief in this one. Donnie Yen and Van Diesel, their interaction was really good. Tony Jaa is the only one that really doesn't get that time to shine that I wish he could have, but all around, I did have a good time in the movies, but hope y'all enjoyed that review for XXX, Return of Xander Cage. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace. Woo!